Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Lance Claysmile Smith.
The staff, the administrative staff, the teachers for allowing me to come in today. And you know, I was contacted a while back by a representative of a school system, a local school system, and they informed me of a tragic event that occurred regarding one of their students. And they explained how the school system was putting together a special assembly in order to address the issue of stigma, which is an issue that contributed to that tragic event. You see, in our American culture, there is a very widespread belief that there is a stigma related to asking for help. A lot of people are afraid to ask for help because they think that if they ask for help, then they will be labeled as being weak. And so therefore, a lot of people do not ask for help when they need it. And thus, their problems grow larger, they become overwhelmed, and sometimes those situations lead to tragic events. Now, I'm here today because I want to ask you for two things. Number one, please do not believe the lie that asking for help is an expression of weakness. Please always keep in mind that every single person has a set of flaws and weaknesses and imperfections in all of our lives. There are times in which we go through situations in which we need help. And actually, it is a sign of courage whenever we ask for help. So please do not be afraid to ask for help. And number two, please reach out to people who are in need of help, either by helping them directly or by helping them to connect with people who can help them. You know, the greatest achievement of our lives will not be related to anything that we do for ourselves, but rather the greatest achievement of our lives will be related to things that we do for others. And in each of our lives, there are times in which we see people who are struggling. Let's try to reach out and help them. You know, the positive difference that we make in their lives will become the greatest achievements of our lives. Holler if you hear me. If you agree, say aye. Tikkun olam, it's a Hebrew term, and it means, in Hebrew, it literally means to fix the world, to help the world, to heal the world. Tikkun olam. And I love that term so much because it really is a wonderful illustration of one of the main purposes of our lives, right? One of the main purposes of our lives is to help the world, heal the world, fix the world. And it's amazing how whenever we try to elevate others, we ourselves rise as well. Holler if you hear me. Right? It's amazing how the gift of giving is better than the gift received. And have you noticed that the best way to increase your happiness is to share your happiness with others? If you agree, say aye. It's amazing. You know, this reminds me of a true story. Several years ago in the Seattle Special Olympics, 9 mentally and physically challenged runners gathered at the starting line of the 100-yard dash. When the gun went off, all of them started off running. One of them, a little boy, slipped, stumbled, and fell down and started crying. When the other runners heard him crying, all of them, every one of them, slowed down, then turned around and went back to where he was. And they all picked him up. And all 9 of them linked arms together and then walked towards the finish line together. True story. True story. True story. I imagine that the crowd got emotional as they watched this group of children, this group of mentally and physically challenged kids. They they watched them display the real true meaning of success, the real true meaning of greatness. True success and true greatness is not about winning a race, but rather it's about helping others win the race along with you. So please always remember, always ask for help when you need it. And number two, always try to reach out to people who are struggling, either by helping them directly or by helping them to connect with people who can help them. It's amazing. You know, being here at this middle school brings back memories of when I was in middle school. And I remember how for a long period of time, I wanted to fit in. And I felt so frustrated as I realized that I couldn't fit in. I wanted to be cool. I wanted to be like my brother Greg. My brother Greg was so very cool, right? And so I wanted to have his same style. I wanted to have his same walk, his same talk. But it never worked out for me. It never worked. I always came across as being weird and creepy. And I felt frustrated. But an interesting thing happened was that I was so blessed because some friends helped me to realize that it's okay for me to be myself. And some friends helped me to realize that I could be comfortable being myself. Holler if you hear me. And I began to realize that my value is not dependent upon other people's opinions of me. You know, a teacher once showed me this illustration that stayed with me for forever. Here it is. How much is this worth? $1. Would I take this dollar bill and crumble it up and throw it on the floor and stomp on it? How much is it worth now? It's still worth $1. Regardless of how I just treated this dollar bill, its value stayed the same. I crumbled it up, I threw it on the floor, I stomped on it, I put dirt on it, but yet its value stayed the same. And the same thing goes with you, me, and all other human beings. Regardless of what other people think about us, regardless of what other people think about us or say about us or do to us, regardless of whatever happens to us in our lives, our value stays the same. Because our value is something that the world did not give to us, and so therefore it's something that the world cannot take away. Holler if you hear me. It's amazing. It's amazing. So now when I got to high school though, another issue came up. When I got to high school, another issue came up. When I was in high school, there was this girl that I liked, but she did not like me back. In fact, she even, at one point, she even said that I was weird and ugly. And it really broke my heart. I allowed it to break my heart. I allowed those words to stay in my mind. I allowed those words to drag me down and make me feel depressed. But once again, what helped me to overcome that were some caring friends that helped me to realize that rather than focusing on getting love, we should focus on giving love. And I began to realize that if I focus on getting love, I'll always be empty. But if I focus on giving love, I'll always be full. It's an amazing thing how if you focus on getting love, love will always escape you. Love will always elude you. But if you focus on giving love, then love will always cover you. Holler if you hear me. It's amazing, amazing. And this concept really became very real to me when I was in college. When I was in college, for a while, I worked a part-time job on campus at the Disability Support Center. My job was to assist students who had physical disabilities. And one of the students I assisted was a blind girl. She was blind, and also she had some learning challenges. And as I got to know her, I began to realize that a lot of people looked down on her. A lot of people rejected her. And she had a very lonely life. And I had a lot of compassion for her because I know what it's like to be lonely. I know what it's like to be rejected. I know what it's like to not fit in. So I was always very friendly towards her. And I remember it was November and Thanksgiving was coming up. And I noticed that she did not have any place to go for Thanksgiving. So I invited her to attend Thanksgiving with my family at my grandmother's home. Now, but I have to be honest, I did hesitate when I was thinking about inviting her. Because I wasn't sure if I wanted to associate myself with somebody that wasn't cool. But then I reminded myself of the golden rule, right? The golden rule. Do unto others as you would want them to do unto you. Treat others the way that you like to be treated. Also, I reminded myself of the fact that I never want to be snobby. Right? Snobby people only want to hang out with people who are considered to be cool, right? I never want to be snobby. I want to always be friendly with every person. There's only one exception, though. There's only one exception. We should always stay away from people who have a negative influence on us. Holler, can you hear me? Right? But that is the only exception. That's the only exception. And so with that new attitude, I reached out and I invited her to Thanksgiving dinner. She came, she had a very fun time. She felt loved by my family. And at the end of the night, when I was dropping her off at home, she turned to me and she said something to me that I will never forget. She said, "Lance, you are so beautiful." And those words really shocked me, because no one had ever called me beautiful before. In fact, I was still holding on to those words from that girl back in high school who said that I was weird and ugly. And this was such a profound experience for me, because that blind girl calling me beautiful, it showed me that true beauty has nothing to do with our physical appearance, but rather true beauty has everything to do with our actions. And we are beautiful whenever we do beautiful things, whenever we love, whenever we give, whenever we try to be nice to people, whenever we try to help somebody, whenever we try to encourage somebody. We are beautiful whenever we do beautiful things. Because really, true beauty is something that cannot be seen through the eyes, through physical eyes, but rather it can only be seen through the eyes of the soul. Holler.